The gathering storm. The vast chamber of the Galactic Alliance headquarters shimmered with the reflected light of 1,000 stars. Hovering displays projected the images of massive warships, each one a testament to the technological prowess of its creators. 5 alien species had gathered to boast, to threaten, and to negotiate, though not necessarily in that order. Captain Maya Chen of the Earth vessel Defiant stood silently at the back of the chamber, her dark eyes carefully observing the proceedings. Unlike the ornate uniforms worn by the alien representatives, her navy blue jumpsuit was simple and functional. No medals, no decorations, just the small Earth insignia over her heart. The Zoraxian Empire has stood for 10,000 years. Ambassador Kivax announced, his scaled skin glistening under the chamber lights. Our Dreadnought-class vessels carry enough firepower to reduce a small moon to cosmic dust. We have conquered 17 systems in the last century alone. The holographic display shifted to show a massive vessel bristling with weapon ports, its hull adorned with trophies from past victories. The chamber filled with murmurs of appreciation, even from rival species. Impressive, admitted Ambassador Thiel of the Moxerite Collective, her 6 eyes blinking in sequence. Though our Vortex cruisers boast something even your mighty dreadnoughts cannot, the ability to fold space-time. Our ships don't just travel through space, they bend it to our will. The hologram changed again, displaying an elegant vessel with curved lines that seemed to shimmer in and out of reality. Demonstrations showed it disappearing and reappearing elsewhere instantaneously. Captain Chen stood motionless, her face betraying nothing. Next to her, Lieutenant Jackson whispered, "They're putting on quite a show." "They always do," Chen replied softly. The third representative, a gelatinous being contained within an environmental suit, pulsed with bioluminescent patterns as it spoke. The Klaxon Hive values efficiency above all. Our ships are living organisms, capable of healing themselves and adapting to any threat. In 500 years, no Klaxon vessel has ever been destroyed in combat. Its holographic display showed organic ships that resembled massive spaceborne creatures, their hulls rippling with muscle-like contractions. The fourth alien, a towering robotic entity representing the Mechnoid Collective, stepped forward with precise movements. Biological limitations are irrelevant. Our ships operate with perfect logical efficiency, capable of calculating 16 trillion combat variables per second. We have never made a tactical error in battle. The hologram displayed sleek, geometric vessels with no apparent external weapons. Their entire design was a weapon, built for mathematical perfection in warfare. The fifth and final alien representative before the humans would speak was Ambassador Drell of the Pyrian Dominion. His species resembled avian predators, with sharp beaks and brilliant plumage that he preened proudly as he addressed the chamber. "Technology is merely a tool," Drell said, his voice melodic yet threatening. "The Pyrian fleet possesses the finest pilots in the galaxy, capable of maneuvers that would tear apart lesser ships and crews. Our natural reflexes, enhanced by our neural interfaces, make us unbeatable in direct combat." The hologram showed their interceptors performing impossible maneuvers, weaving through asteroid fields and energy barrages with preternatural precision. Then all eyes turned to Captain Chen. "And now," said the Alliance facilitator, a neutral AI entity, "we shall hear from the newest members of the Galactic Alliance, the representatives of Earth." The chamber fell silent, but the silence was heavy with unspoken dismissal. Humans had only achieved faster-than-light travel 40 years earlier. They controlled just 3 star systems. Their presence at this gathering was a formality, nothing more. Captain Chen stepped forward, her movements unhurried. "The Earth Federation thanks the Alliance for this opportunity," she said, her voice calm and measured. "We have listened with great interest to the impressive capabilities of your vessels. And what does Earth bring to this gathering?" Ambassador Kivax asked, not bothering to hide the mockery in his tone. "Perhaps some primitive fusion-driven ships, or have you managed to develop basic shield technology yet?" Scattered laughter echoed through the chamber. Captain Chen smiled slightly. "We bring the Defiant-class vessels. They are adequate for our needs. The hologram changed to show a ship that appeared almost disappointing after the previous displays. It was sleek but unremarkable, with none of the obvious weaponry or exotic materials of the alien vessels. It looked functional, perhaps even elegant in its simplicity, but certainly not impressive. That's it. Ambassador Drell's plumage ruffled in what seemed to be the Pyrrhian equivalent of a laugh. That wouldn't last 10 seconds against a Pyrrhian hunter squadron. Perhaps not, Chen admitted, seemingly unconcerned. But we're still learning. The dismissive murmurs grew louder. The Alliance facilitator intervened, its holographic form pulsing gently. As all 6 species are now represented, we can proceed to the matter at hand. The Proxima Corridor, newly discovered after the collapse of the Verandi Nebula, presents a valuable trade route that will significantly reduce travel time between the Orion and Sagittarius arms. Control of this corridor is the purpose of our gathering. Captain Chen returned to her place beside Lieutenant Jackson, who looked troubled. "Captain, they're not taking us seriously," Jackson whispered. "Good," Chen replied, her eyes fixed on the aliens ahead. "That's exactly what we want." The Alliance facilitator continued. As is tradition within the Alliance, disputes over newly discovered territories or phenomena are settled through demonstration rather than open warfare. Each species will present their case through the Proxima Challenge, a series of trials designed to test the capabilities claimed here today. Ambassador Kivak stood tall. "The Zoraxians accept this challenge and will demonstrate our superior firepower." The other ambassadors quickly followed suit, each boasting of their inevitable victory. When it came to Earth's turn, Captain Chen simply nodded her acceptance without elaboration. As the formal proceedings concluded, the representatives mingled in the chamber. Captain Chen found herself approached by Ambassador Drell, his avian features arranged in what she recognized as a condescending expression. "Captain Chen of Earth," he said, his voice dripping with false cordiality. "I admire your courage in participating in the challenge. It must be difficult representing such a young species." "We all start somewhere, Ambassador," Chen replied evenly. "Indeed, though most species wait until they have something worth showing before attempting to claim galactic resources." Drell tilted his head. "You realize the Proxima Corridor could determine trade dominance for the next 1,000 years. It seems ambitious for a species that barely understands the principles of interstellar navigation." Lieutenant Jackson tensed beside her, but Chen remained calm. "The corridor connects directly to our home sector. We have as much right to participate as any other Alliance member." "Rights, yes," Drell agreed. "Capabilities, that's another matter entirely." He leaned closer. "A word of advice, Captain. Withdraw from the challenge. Save your species the embarrassment. In a century or two, perhaps humans will be ready for such competitions." "Thank you for your concern, Ambassador," Chen said with a slight smile. "But we'll take our chances." Drell's plumage rippled with amusement. "As you wish. I look forward to seeing your adequate vessel in action." As he walked away, Jackson muttered, "Arrogant bird." "They all are," Chen said. "They've dominated space for millennia with little competition. Arrogance is inevitable." "The Proxima Challenge begins tomorrow," Jackson noted. "Are you sure about this, Captain? Fleet Command could send a more advanced vessel if we—" "No," Chen interrupted firmly. "The Defiant is exactly what we need. Trust me, Lieutenant." The gathering dispersed as representatives returned to their ships to prepare for the challenge. Captain Chen stood alone for a moment, looking at the holographic display that still showed her modest vessel alongside the impressive alien warships. "Captain," Jackson asked, "is everything all right?" Chen's eyes remained fixed on the display. "Did you know, Lieutenant, that on Earth hundreds of years ago, there was a saying about bringing a knife to a gunfight?" "Yes, Captain. It means being hopelessly outmatched." Chen smiled, a genuine expression that reached her eyes for the first time that day. "But what if the knife is actually something else entirely? Something no one expects?" Before Jackson could respond, Chen turned and headed toward the exit. "Prepare the crew, Lieutenant. Tomorrow, we show the Alliance exactly what humanity brings to the table." The Proxima challenge would begin at the edge of the corridor itself, a swirling spatial anomaly that cut through multiple sectors of space. The participants gathered their vessels at the designated coordinates, each ship a testament to their species' approach to technology and warfare. The Zoraxian dreadnought loomed largest, its weapons ports already glowing with contained energy. The Moxorite cruiser shimmered as if partially existing in another dimension. The Klaxon vessel pulsed with organic life, while the mechnoid ship maintained perfect position without a single thruster adjustment. The Pyrrhian squadron deployed in a precise formation that seemed to shift and reposition constantly. And then there was the Defiant, looking almost primitive by comparison. "All vessels, prepare for the first trial," announced the Alliance facilitator from the neutral observation platform. "As is tradition, we begin with the descent challenge. Your vessels must navigate through the gravitational distortions at the corridor's edge. Sensors and shields will be limited. The first to reach the marker at coordinates Alpha 7 will gain advantage in subsequent trials." Captain Chen sat calmly in her command chair on the Defiance bridge. Around her, her human crew worked with quiet efficiency, their focus absolute. "All systems ready, Captain," reported Lieutenant Jackson from the tactical station. "The aliens are already positioning for rapid entry." "Let them," Chen said. "Ensign Park, take us in at 1/4 thrust." Commander Rodriguez, passive sensors only. Her officers exchanged brief glances, but followed orders without question. Outside, the alien vessels surged forward, each employing their vaunted technologies. The Zoraxian dreadnought blasted through the gravitational waves with brute force. The Moxorite cruiser blinked in and out of space, bypassing the worst distortions. The Klaxon ship seemed to flow through the anomalies like water. The mechnoid vessel moved with mathematical precision, while the Pyrrhian squadron danced through the chaos with incredible piloting skill. The Defiant appeared to lag behind, moving cautiously into the corridor. On the observation platform, Ambassador Drell laughed openly. "Look at them crawl. They'll never even complete the first trial." Kavax of the Zoraxians nodded in agreement. "Perhaps they should have heeded your advice, Drell. This is embarrassing to watch." Inside the corridor, gravitational forces intensified. Space itself seemed to twist and fold, creating invisible currents that could tear ships apart. The alien vessels pressed forward, their advanced technologies straining against the natural forces. Aboard the Defiant, alarms began to sound as gravitational shear increased. "Hull stress increasing, Captain," Jackson reported. "We're approaching structural limits." Chen nodded calmly. "Maintain course, Ensign." "Commander Rodriguez, activate the gravitational mapping protocol now." "Activating, Captain," Rodriguez responded, entering commands into her console. Suddenly, small probes launched from the Defiant's hull, spreading out in all directions. They were nearly invisible against the backdrop of space, their emissions minimal. "What are they doing?" Ambassador Thiel of the Moxorites asked, her 6 eyes focusing on the observation screens. "Deploying some kind of probes," Kavax replied dismissively. "Primitive sensor technology, no doubt. They're trying to map what our ships can detect instinctively." Ahead, the gravitational distortions intensified. The Zoraxian dreadnought pushed forward, its engines glowing white-hot. The Moxorite cruiser attempted another spacefold, but suddenly reappeared in almost the same position, its systems temporarily disrupted by the corridor's unique properties. The Klaxon and mechnoid vessels continued steadily, adapting to the conditions, while the Pyrrhian squadron began to struggle with the increasingly unpredictable currents. Aboard the Defiant, Chen studied the data flowing in from the probes. "There," she said quietly. "Ensign Park, adjust course to heading 227 Mark 043. "Captain," Park questioned. "That leads directly into the heaviest distortion zone." "Exactly," Chen confirmed. "Trust the data, Ensign. Full thrust. The Defiant suddenly accelerated, changing course to head directly toward what appeared to be the most dangerous section of the corridor. On the observation platform, the alien ambassadors watched in disbelief. "They'd gone mad," Drell stated. "That section will tear their ship apart." But as the Defiant approached the apparent danger zone, something unexpected happened. Instead of being battered by gravitational forces, the ship seemed to slip into a hidden current, accelerating smoothly through the corridor. "What's happening?" Kvax demanded. The Alliance facilitator's holographic form pulsed with interest. "It appears the Earth vessel has identified a subspace current within the corridor, a natural pathway that circumvents the gravitational distortions." The alien representatives watched in stunned silence as the Defiant shot forward, bypassing their struggling vessels. Within minutes, the human ship had reached the Alpha 7 marker, completing the first trial long before any of the others. On the Defiant's bridge, Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Position secured, Lieutenant. Now we wait for the others." Jackson looked at his captain with newfound respect. "The gravitational mapping protocol. That's why you insisted on the Defiant rather than one of our more advanced vessels." Chen nodded. "Sometimes the simplest approach is best. Why fight the current when you can ride it?" As the alien vessels finally struggled to the marker, one by one, the representatives were forced to acknowledge the unexpected outcome of the first trial. The humans hadn't won through superior technology or firepower. They had won through observation, analysis, and adaptation. The Proxima challenge had only just begun, and already the gathering storm of competition had taken an unexpected turn. The aliens had mocked humanity's navy, considering it primitive and unworthy. Now, they weren't so certain, and Captain Maya Chen knew that was just the beginning. Defying expectations. The observation platform hummed with tense conversation as the alien representatives conferred among themselves. Their first dismissal of humanity had been replaced by cautious reassessment after the surprising outcome of the Descent Challenge. Ambassador Kvax of the Zoraxians paced the platform, his scaled skin flushing with dark patterns of frustration. "A lucky discovery," he insisted. "The humans stumbled upon the subspace current by chance." "Unlikely," countered the mechnoid representative, its voice a perfectly modulated synthetic tone. "The probability of accidental discovery of that precise pathway is approximately 1 in 7 million. Their approach was methodical. Ambassador Drell's plumage rippled with agitation. "It changes nothing. The next trial will demonstrate the true measure of their capabilities, or lack thereof." The Alliance facilitator's holographic form expanded to address the gathering. "We proceed to the second trial, the barrier challenge. Each vessel must penetrate the energy field at the corridor's midpoint. The field increases in density every 30 seconds. Participants must breach it before it becomes impenetrable." Aboard the Defiant, Captain Chen studied the sensor readings of the energy barrier ahead. Unlike the natural gravitational anomalies of the first trial, this was an artificial construct, a test designed specifically to measure offensive capabilities. "Analysis, Commander Rodriguez," Chen asked, her eyes never leaving the tactical display. "The barrier appears to be a modified plasma field with quantum stabilization," Rodriguez reported. "It's already at 50% density and rising. Traditional weapons will be increasingly ineffective as density increases." Lieutenant Jackson frowned from his station. "The alien vessels are powering up their weapons. The Zoraxian dreadnought's main cannon is charging. Its energy signature is off the charts." Chen nodded calmly. "As expected. They'll try to overwhelm the barrier with brute force." "Should we charge our forward batteries, Captain?" Jackson asked. "No," Chen replied. "Power down all weapon systems." Her officers exchanged shocked glances. "Captain," Jackson questioned, "without weapons, how will we penetrate the barrier?" Chen smiled slightly. "Who said we need weapons to get through?" Outside, the alien vessels began their assault on the energy barrier. The Zoraxian dreadnought fired its main cannon, a beam of such intensity that it momentarily outshone the nearby stars. The barrier flickered but held. The Moxeray cruiser attempted to fold space around the barrier, trying to bypass it entirely, but the quantum stabilization prevented spatial manipulation within its field. The Klaxon living ship extended organic tendrils that probed the barrier, searching for weaknesses, while the mechnoid vessel fired precisely calculated energy pulses at what its computers determined were structural nodes. The Pyrrhian squadron executed a complex attack pattern, striking simultaneously at different points, their weapons fire creating a beautiful but ultimately ineffective display. On the observation platform, the representatives watched intently as their ships battered the increasingly dense barrier. "The humans aren't firing," Thiel of the Moxerates noted, her 6 eyes blinking in confusion. "Their weapons remain cold." "Perhaps they've given up already," Drell suggested, though his tone lacked its earlier confidence. The Defiant moved steadily toward the barrier, maintaining a straight course without evasive maneuvers. No energy weapons charge, no missile ports opened. It appeared to be on a suicide run. "What are they doing?" Kavax muttered. "Do they intend to ram the barrier? Their hull will be vaporized instantly." The alien representatives fell silent as they watched the seemingly suicidal approach of the human vessel. Aboard the Defiant, tension filled the bridge as the energy barrier loomed ever larger on the view screen. The barrier's density had reached 70% and was still climbing. "Barrier contact in 20 seconds, Ensign Park announced from the helm. "All stations, prepare for contact," Chen ordered calmly. "Activate the hull harmonics system." Hull harmonics activated, Rodriguez confirmed. Molecular resonance established. Lieutenant Jackson watched the readouts with growing understanding. "You're matching our hull's molecular frequency to the barrier's quantum signature." "Precisely," Chen affirmed. "Rather than fight against the barrier, we'll temporarily become part of it." 10 seconds to contact," Park called out. "Brace for transition," Chen ordered. The Defiant's hull began to shimmer subtly, its molecular structure vibrating at precisely the same frequency as the energy barrier. As the ship made contact, there was a moment when it seemed to become translucent, its outline blurring as it merged with the barrier itself. For 3 breathless seconds, the Defiant existed in a state of quantum superposition, neither fully solid nor fully energy. Then, like a ghost passing through a wall, it emerged on the other side of the barrier, its systems returning to normal as it cleared the field. On the observation platform, stunned silence reigned. "Impossible," Kavax finally stammered. "They passed through without firing a single shot." The Alliance facilitator's voice was tinged with something almost like approval. "The Earth vessel has completed the second trial. Rather than attempting to destroy the barrier, they adapted to it." Meanwhile, the alien ships continued their assault, eventually managing to blast their way through with overwhelming firepower. But the point had been made. The humans had found a solution that required no weapons at all. As the alien vessels regrouped on the far side of the barrier, the mood among their crews had shifted dramatically. The initial dismissal had given way to confusion, then concern, and now a grudging respect. "The final trial awaits," announced the Alliance facilitator. "The combat challenge will test your defensive and offensive capabilities directly. Each vessel must survive combat scenarios against automated defense systems while reaching the corridor's endpoint." Captain Chen gathered her senior officers for a brief conference before the final trial began. "They'll be watching us closely now," she told them. "They're no longer underestimating us. That makes this last challenge the most dangerous. The automated defense systems will be calibrated to exploit weaknesses," Rodriguez observed. "And after the first 2 trials, they'll be specifically looking for unconventional tactics from us." Chen nodded. "Which is why we'll give them exactly what they expect, at first." She turned to Lieutenant Jackson. "Prepare the countermeasures we discussed. It's time to show them what the Defiant is truly capable of." As the ships positioned themselves for the final trial, the automated defense systems activated throughout the corridor. Orbital platforms deployed, bristling with weapons. Drone fighters launched in swarms, mines scattered across probable flight paths. It was a gauntlet designed to push each vessel to its limits. The Zoraxian dreadnought moved first, its massive weapons firing in all directions, creating a path of destruction through the defensive systems. But for each platform destroyed, two more appeared, adapting to the dreadnought's attack patterns. The Moxorite cruiser blinked in and out of reality, attempting to bypass the worst of the defenses, but each spatial jump drained its systems, making each successive fold more difficult. The Klaxon living ship absorbed tremendous damage, its organic hull regenerating constantly, but even its remarkable healing abilities began to falter under the relentless assault. The mechnoid vessel calculated and recalculated optimal routes, its perfect logic struggling with the intentionally unpredictable defense patterns. The Pyrrhian squadron's incredible pilots wove through the chaos with breathtaking skill, but one by one, they began to fall to the overwhelming numbers. The Defiant approached more cautiously, employing conventional evasive maneuvers and limited defensive fire, exactly what would be expected from a less advanced vessel trying to survive. On the observation platform, Ambassador Drell watched with renewed confidence. "There," he said, "now we see their true limitations. Their tricks won't save them in direct combat." As if to confirm his assessment, the Defiant took a direct hit from a defense platform, its shields flaring brightly before failing on one side. The ship lurched, venting atmosphere briefly before emergency systems sealed the breach. "Their shields are primitive," Kavax observed. "One more solid hit, and they'll be crippled." As predicted, another blast struck the Defiant, this time damaging its propulsion systems. The ship began to drift, apparently severely disabled. "A valiant effort," the mechnoid representative noted, "but ultimately futile. They lack the technological foundation to compete at this level." Aboard the apparently crippled Defiant, Captain Chen watched the defense platforms closing in for the kill. Around her, her crew continued to work calmly despite the chaos on the monitors. "They've taken the bait," Chen observed. "All platforms are converging on our position." "Defense drones are within optimal range," Jackson reported. "Ready on your command." Chen's eyes narrowed. "Execute Protocol Lazarus." Suddenly, the supposedly crippled Defiant underwent a startling transformation. Panels along its hull slid open, revealing advanced weapon ports that had remained hidden until now. Its engines flared back to life, burning with unexpected power. "What is this?" Ambassador Thiel gasped on the observation platform. "Those systems weren't on any of our scans." Before the defense platforms could react, the Defiant launched a barrage of small objects, hundreds of them, spreading outward in all directions. "Defensive mines," Kavax guessed, watching the objects disperse. "No," the mechnoid replied, its synthetic voice actually showing traces of surprise. "They're microdrones." The swarm of human microdrones engulfed the defense platforms, attaching themselves to weapon systems, propulsion units, and sensor arrays. Rather than destroying the platforms, they reprogrammed them, turning the corridor's defenses against themselves. Within moments, the entire defensive network was compromised. Platforms fired on each other. Drone fighters flew in confused patterns before shutting down. Mines deactivated harmlessly, and the Defiant, now fully operational, accelerated smoothly toward the corridor's endpoint. "Impossible," Drell whispered, his plumage drooping in shock. "Their ship, it's not what it appeared to be." Indeed, the Alliance facilitator confirmed. The Earth vessel Defiant is revealing its true nature. As the defending systems collapsed around them, the alien ships found their path to the endpoint suddenly clear, thanks entirely to the human vessel's intervention. Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching as they approached the endpoint of the Proxima corridor. Behind them, the alien vessels followed, no longer competitors so much as witnesses to something they hadn't believed possible. "All systems functioning normally," Rodriguez reported. "The adaptive camouflage held up perfectly until deployment." And the microdrones? Chen asked. 98% successful infiltration rate, Jackson replied with a smile. The defense platforms never stood a chance. As the Defiant crossed the endpoint marker, officially completing the Proxima challenge, Chen allowed herself a moment of quiet satisfaction. Well done, everyone. Now prepare for company. I suspect our alien friends will have questions. Within the hour, representatives from all 5 alien species had requested permission to board the Defiant. Captain Chen welcomed them in a simple conference room that, like the ship itself, was designed to appear more modest than it actually was. Welcome aboard the Defiant. Chen greeted them as they entered, each alien regarding the human vessel with new eyes. This ship is not what you presented at the gathering, Kivak stated immediately, his voice somewhere between accusation and admiration. I said it was adequate for our needs, Chen replied with a slight smile. I never claimed it was primitive. The hull harmonic system, the adaptive camouflage, the microdrones, the mechnoid representative listed. None of these technologies appeared in our intelligence reports on human capabilities. That was by design, Chen acknowledged. Earth has been developing in relative isolation for decades, Ambassador. We saw no reason to reveal our full capabilities until necessary. Thiel of the Moxerites moved closer, her 6 eyes examining Chen with new respect. You intentionally appeared weak. You wanted us to underestimate you. We wanted to be judged by our actions, not our reputation, Chen corrected gently. Humanity may be new to the galactic stage, but we've been preparing for this moment for generations. Ambassador Drell, whose mockery had been the most pointed before the challenge, stepped forward. I offered you advice before the trials began, Captain. I suggested you withdraw to avoid embarrassment. Yes, I remember, Chen replied evenly. I was wrong, Drell admitted, his plumage shifting to colors that signified respect in Parian culture. And I suspect we have seen only a fraction of what humanity is truly capable of. Chen neither confirmed nor denied this assessment, which was answer enough. The Proxima challenge has been completed, announced the Alliance facilitator, whose holographic form had joined them in the conference room. By the ancient protocols of the Galactic Alliance, control of the Proxima corridor falls to Earth. Kivak flexed his scaled hands, a gesture of acceptance in Zoraxian culture. A worthy victory. But I must ask, Captain Chen, why did your vessel assist the others during the final trial? You could have left us to struggle against the defense systems. Chen's expression grew serious. Because the corridor doesn't belong to humanity alone, Ambassador. It belongs to the galaxy. We simply wish to demonstrate that we are ready to take our place as equals in the Alliance. No more, no less. The Klaxon representative pulsed with patterns that translated to deep thought. You speak of equality, yet you have proven yourselves potentially superior in many ways. Not superior, Chen corrected firmly. Different. Each species brings unique strengths to the Alliance. The Zoraxians' power, the Moxerites' spatial manipulation, the Klaxons' organic technology, the Mechnoids' perfect logic, the Parians' unmatched piloting skills, all are valuable. And what do humans bring? Asked the Mechnoid representative. Chen smiled genuinely. Adaptation, innovation, and perhaps most importantly, the understanding that strength alone is never enough. Sometimes the most powerful approach is choosing not to use your power at all. As the meeting concluded and the alien representatives prepared to depart, Ambassador Drell lingered behind. When they were alone, he addressed Chen one final time. You knew, didn't you? From the very beginning. You knew exactly how we would react to your apparent weakness. Chen nodded slightly. Human history is filled with stories of being underestimated, Ambassador. We've learned to use that to our advantage. A dangerous lesson, Drell observed. Only for those who refuse to look beyond appearances, Chen replied. The Alliance has existed for millennia because different species found ways to work together despite their differences. Humanity simply wishes to add our voice to that chorus. Drell's head tilted in a gesture of newfound respect. I believe the chorus will be stronger for it, Captain Chen. Though I suspect no one will make the mistake of underestimating humans again. As the Pyrrhian ambassador departed, Captain Chen returned to the bridge of the Defiant. The view screen showed the massive corridor stretching before them, a pathway that would soon connect Earth more directly to the heart of the galaxy. Orders, Captain? Lieutenant Jackson asked. Chen gazed out at the stars, thinking of how quickly perceptions had changed. How 5 alien species that had mocked humanity's navy now looked upon it with newfound respect. Send word to Earth, she said at last. Tell them the corridor is secure, and the Alliance has welcomed us as equals. And then, Jackson prompted. Chen smiled. Then we continue exploring, Lieutenant. After all, we've only just begun to show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. As the Defiant moved forward into the corridor, the 5 alien vessels followed, not as competitors or superiors, but as partners in a new galactic order. They had mocked humanity's navy, dismissing it as primitive and unworthy. They would not make that mistake again.